Hello everyone, Kyle Fridland of the Fantasy Simpletons, and it's time to talk about the Week 16 edition of the Waiver Wire. As per usual, we will be covering all the major positions of quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end, 2 players per position. We're in the heart of it now, and just because you've made it this far, it does not mean your roster is perfect. I know that better than anybody. Sometimes you just have a couple holes and need to be filled.
Yo.
Sometimes you need someone to help you through it, and I can be here for you to guide you through the wasteland that is the waiver wire. Now obviously the biggest news to come out of this last week is the injury to Patrick Mahomes. The torn ACL heard around the world as he's going to be out for the rest of the season. There are a lot of teams that came in with him as their primary quarterback. You could be panicking, you could be scrambling. A lot of you might be looking to the waiver wire for answers. I'm here to help you figure out what the best replacement for Patrick Mahomes is going to be. First and foremost, go get Jacoby Brissett. If you see him out there on the waiver wire, you have to pick him up. I, as well as a lot of other people, thought he wasn't going to do well against the Texans because, well, historically, nobody has done good against the Texans this year. But I forgot one crucial detail. I forgot what day it was.
Garbage day!
Yeah, it doesn't matter who they're facing or how good their defense seems to be. It seems like this guy is always going to have the ball in his hands when it matters the least. That's how garbage time works, and as long as their defense continues to be that horrid, Jacoby Brissett is going to be great no matter who he faces, no matter which defense he faces, as well as Michael Wilson. If you manage to pick him up anytime in the last few weeks, if Marvin Harrison doesn't come back, he could very well be a league winner. You know? They're not a great football team, but they're very fantasy friendly. Well, how about Trevor Lawrence? If we look at Trevor Lawrence on the other side, who is playing maybe the best football of his career? 5 touchdowns last week. He also added 50 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown as well. So 6 total touchdowns. And that's all well and good. And I would normally recommend him as a guy to pick him up. But there's one thing that keeps me away from that. He's facing Denver this week. And it's not just the fact that they're facing a really good defense. It's more on the idea that the Jacksonville Jaguars have struggled against top competition this year throughout the season. So I'm not super high on him for this week. But if you're willing to take a chance on a player that is playing at his peak level of performance, I wouldn't blame you. Are there any other options to look at though? Well, we got Bryce Young, who's facing the Buccaneers in a must-win do-or-die game. That could be very interesting. You have JJ McCarthy, who's going to be facing the Giants. If I had to recommend one more name though, I'd say Tyler Shuck. It's very weird. I've kind of had one eye on him this whole season to kind of see how he's been doing. The last few weeks, he's been very consistent. He's been playing a lot better than a lot of people expected him to. And this week, he should do decently well yet again. His rushing ability does make up for any weaknesses that he might have in the pass game. He wouldn't be my go-to option, but if you had no other options, he seems like a safer bet than some of these other guys that are very boom or bust. Now what about the guy on the other side, Corey Krosky-Merritt? I'm gonna be honest, I was never a big Bill Krosky guy. You know, I felt like he was very overhyped in the draft, and I just didn't see enough of what everybody else saw, I guess. But he's on this list for a couple of reasons. One, the Commanders should be using their younger players on their roster right now. They're out of playoff contention. They have nothing left to fight for. They're the oldest team in the league. It would make sense for them to try out these younger players, see what they can do, figure out what their role is going to be going into next season. I think Jacory Krosky-Merritt, he can be a good pickup under 2 conditions. One, you have to check on the health of Chris Rodriguez. If Chris Rodriguez is playing, it's going to significantly affect him, and they're probably going to split on carries. 2, you need to check the health of Jalen Carter. Because they're facing the Eagles this week, their run defense significantly changes depending on if Jalen Carter is playing or not. Now, if those 2 scenarios work out in Jacory's favor, or Bill's favor, yeah, I'd recommend picking him up. If you're in a bad spot, I'd try him out this week. He could have a solid game, he could have a pretty good game, but you'll just have to wait and see to find out. With the wide receivers, it gets a little tougher week to week to find out who are some guys that are falling under the radar that not a lot of people are picking up. Well, at least one of the names for me, I think not a lot of people are talking about this guy, Jalen Coker. The Panthers love this wide receiver. He's an undrafted free agent from last season in his second year, and I think they had big plans for him this season, but he was put on IR before week 1 started. A big injury that took him out for the first half of the season, and he spent most of this time trying to recover from that injury and find his spot back on the offense again. But once he did, these last couple weeks, he's been very good. He's gotten a touchdown in the last 2 games, 4 receptions in both of those games for 60 yards and 74 yards, respectively. I think when everybody is looking to Ted McMillan to take him out of the game plan because he's their only super strong number 1 receiver, it's leaving Coker open to get big plays from Bryce Young, who has been getting a lot better at throwing, these intermediate and deep shots down the field to guys like Coker or McMillan. He's a boom or bust option, but in a game against Tampa Bay, where this is a game that could very well decide who wins this division, he's a boom that I'd like to take the chance on. As well as going over to Jaden Reed, who I was on my list last week, and he had another okay game. He had 5 receptions in this last game against Denver. Yeah, the matchup isn't perfect, but again, he's a boom or bust option. You have to look at it in the same way of, there's a chance he's not going to do well, but he's getting more and more healthy every week. He's going to be more involved in this offense. I think he's going to take away from some of their other options like Dobbs, like Christian Watson. And I don't know, man. As much as Jordan Love, he loves to throw that deep ball. I can see him getting a big bomb touchdown in this football game. A do or die game for both teams here. Now let's end this with the tight end position, and I am still not giving up on Darren Waller. I still think he is absolutely someone you should pick up. This is being recorded before the Monday Night Football game, so I have no idea how he does against the Steelers, but no matter how he does, I still think he's a pickup for this week. The Bengals are just one of those teams that they just allow infinite amount of points to against tight ends. And I'll go as far as to make a prediction. He will get a touchdown. He will have a good game against the Bengals. If you've been streaming tight ends all season, go get him. Go pick him up. I still believe he can be a game changer at this point in the season. I'm not giving up on him. I'm not just yet. I'm not giving up on him. But if you don't like the ego trip aside and you want to go for a more realistic option or opinion, Colston Loveland will still be out there in a majority of leagues. Colston Loveland, yeah, the matchup isn't great against the Packers, but I'm not looking at matchup right now. He is proven to be one of the only consistent things going on this Chicago Bears offense. It can be maddening to watch the inconsistencies of Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze and DJ Moore, and sometimes even the ground game of, is it going to be Monangai or is it going to be Swift? This guy in the last 5 games has gotten at least 5 targets in all of those games. He's a consistent part of the offense. You could do a lot worse in a game where tight ends, you have no idea if a tight end is going to have a good game or a bad game after you get to a certain point on the waiver wire. He's one of the safest options right now of yeah, he'll probably do all right for me. And that will do it. Thank you so much for watching. You can follow us on any of our socials down here. If you like this video, let us know by liking, subscribing, being notified on our channel, or even leaving a comment. Do you agree with our waiver wire picks? Let us know in the comments down below. But in a complex fantasy world, just remember to stay simple. God bless everyone.